Hey everyone! I hope that you guys are doing amazing wherever you are in the world. My name is Shikha as always, and I hope that you are enjoying my videos, that you're having a great day, and you're staying safe and happy and healthy wherever you are. In this one, I wanted to talk to you about a book that I read recently that literally blew my mind open. I'm still kind of processing right now, but I really wanted to share it with you because I hope that you will take this video as an incentive to go read this book. It's such an important book for all of us to read, but particularly I think INFJs, because I think we do this very often and very commonly and very easily. Okay? So, something that the book is called Heal Your Wounds and Find Your True Self by Lise Bourbeau. I think she's a French lady who wrote this book. And I'll put a link into the thing below, so you hopefully can just click on it. But basically, the book says that there's many things that it says, and it's not a very long book, so it's a really easy read. But I had to kind of reread a lot of chapters because I was like, oh my god, this is me. Ah! Anyways, so then the basic essence of the book is that obviously there's 5 wounds that she speaks about. So there's, the betrayer, the abandoner, the rejecter, something like that. Like there's like 5 of them, injustice, things like that. And so there's 5 wounds typically that people experience, and then according to those wounds, people deal with people around them. So people will deal with their family because of their wounds. They'll deal with them particularly in a particular way, or they will deal with their relationships in a particular way because of their wounds. Whatever it might be, the wounds dictate a lot of our relationships and our reactions to people. As I've said this before, and I'm going to say this over and over again, most of us, unfortunately, have become mostly automatons. Even though we might be critical thinkers in a lot of different ways, a lot of different things, especially when it comes down to relationships and the way we deal with romantic relationships or our parental relationships or relationships that are very important to us. Mostly what happens is that we kind of go into automatic mode in these relationships. And so we don't actually really think about how we're behaving with these people. We just automatically play the role that we're playing. We always play this role, and we're always going to play this role, and we don't even think about it, as I said. We're not like, all right, today I'm going to play this particular role with this person. No, we automatically go into our natural states of being, our natural ways of dealing with people. I've done a video on this, or I think it might be shared soonish, where I say that I kind of go into comedian or joker role when I'm around my parents. This is not something that they told me to play, or that I wrote it down and I was like, all right, I'm going to play this role. No, this is something that I automatically go into because I don't even think about the fact that I'm going into these roles. The same thing with these wounds. These wounds have been kind of passed down from generation to generation, not only because our grandparents dealt with their parents in a particular way, and then our great grandparents did the same thing, and then our parents saw their parents doing that, and then they dealt with it in a certain way, and then we watched our parents dealing with people in a certain way, and then we kind of emulated that. And so a lot of reasons why we kind of end up being exactly like our parents is not because of genes. A lot of it probably is genes, but also because we watch them all of our lives. And then we notice how they live with other people, how they treat other people. And in general, in a lot of cases, at least in our childhood, we kind of start emulating them. Either we emulate them and say, well, we're going to be exactly like them, or we're like, I'm never going to be like them, and we try to be exactly the opposite, right? And of course, that's something that we do a lot of, where we're like, no, I hate this person, I don't like the way they behave, I'm going to do exactly the opposite of what they do. Even if it's not the right thing to do, we're like, no, I'm going to be exactly opposite this person, right? And so these wounds, there are 5 of them, and I kind of related to all 5 of them, actually. A lot of people sometimes only relate to 1 or 2 or 3. I actually related in certain ways to all 5 of them, but there was 1 or 2 that really resonated with me. The rejector one particularly, the rejection one, and the controller one for me was very, very strong. I had a strong attachment to both, and I could see myself in both of them very strongly. Although, as I said, I could see myself in all of them. But the main essence of what she says, which I really wanted to share with you, is that in a lot of cases what we do because of these wounds is that because we're afraid that someone's going to do something to us, we do it to them first. I'll give you a very simple example to actually explain this. I do this all the time. And I know a lot of you guys do this all the time too. And so I really want to share this example because even though it's shameful that I do this, it's very important to be shared. Whenever I am interested in someone, whenever I have affinity for someone, whenever I have affection for someone, whenever I meet someone new and I'm like, oh, this person's actually interesting, and I could consider being in a relationship with them, I have such a fear of being rejected, and this is the rejection wound that I was speaking about. I have such a fear of being rejected that I'm like, oh my god, this person's gonna reject me. Obviously they're gonna reject me. Come on. Everyone always rejects me. I'm never in a relationship, or I'm never in a relationship for long. Look at me. Look at the way I behave with people. I'm a terrible person. All of that stuff that we go on in my head, that goes on in my head every single time. And so I think all of these things, and so that I am not rejected, I reject this person first. So I notice this a lot, especially with the people I like. So if I have like an affinity for a person, I'm afraid that this person's going to leave me. And I've done a video on this in the past where we ruin relationships because we're like, oh, I'm a burden on this person. Let me ruin this relationship. Well, in this case, there's not even a relationship yet. You meet a new person, they seem really nice, they're awesome. You're afraid they're going to reject you because, of course, they're going to reject you. Look at yourself. And so you reject them first. You run away first. You abandon them first. You just leave them first so that they can't do to you what you're afraid they will do to you. In this way, we do what we do to other people what we're afraid they're going to do to us. And that sentence, literally, it just blew my mind because I'm sitting there thinking, oh my god, yes, I do to people what I'm afraid they're going to do to me. I abandon people when I'm afraid they're going to abandon me. I abandon them first before they can abandon me. I reject them first before they can reject me. Or I am unfair to people first because I think they're going to be unfair to me. And in this way, or I humiliate people first because I think they're going to humiliate me. And in this way, I use these wounds unconsciously, obviously. I don't think I'm doing this consciously. Unconsciously, I do this. And so I do to other people what I'm afraid they're going to do to me. Yeah. And this is something that's so powerful because as soon as I heard this, I started watching myself, with my parents particularly, because I know I do this with my parents a lot now, that I reject them before they can reject me. I abandon them before they can abandon me. I humiliate them before they can humiliate me. And so in that way, I started noticing myself and I started watching myself, guys. And oh my God, it came up many times, many times. I would say in the last week, I've noticed it at least 4 or 5 times where I've done it and I had to catch myself and I had to stop myself. And I'm like, all right, whoa, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? Your father, your mother hasn't even done anything yet, and you're already going into that rejection mode, or you're already going into that abandonment mode because you think they're gonna do something to you. What if they don't? I mean, come on, right? So the main essence of the book is that. So you do something to others before they can do it to you. And then forgiveness. Forgiveness is such a hard thing, oh my goodness. But she says in the book that if the beginning of the healing process is when we start realizing that we're doing this. Obviously, awareness is so important in this regard. Because as I said, we kind of do it unconsciously. So as soon as you become aware of it, all of a sudden, it's like a light bulb goes off in your head. And so you can be aware of doing it while you're doing it, rather than just being completely unconscious. But the next process, or the next step, is obviously forgiving yourself for it. And I noticed in myself, I noticed so much hatred and anger towards myself. And I was like, why do I do this? What's wrong with me? How dare I? I didn't want to be the kind of person who rejects other people, but I'm doing that to other people. I hate other people when they reject me or ignore me or abandon me, but I'm doing that to other people. I hate when people humiliate me, but I'm doing that to other people. What is wrong with me, right? And so obviously the first step here is to forgive yourself because you're just being human, right? And we're kind of playing out these roles without even being conscious of them. Unless you read a book which kind of brings it to light and you're like, wow. Until you do that, it's going to be unconscious, right? And so the first step, obviously, as I said, is to become conscious of it, to stop yourself when you're actually doing it, to forgive yourself because you're doing it, and then to forgive the other person who has done it to you in the past, right? Because it begins in our childhood when someone does it to us first, right? And in the book, she says actually that a lot of us actually are born with these wounds already, and we are here in this lifetime to heal these wounds because we started off with them, right? And each person comes into their lifetime with a particular wound to heal that particular wound with that person and to stop the cycle. Because what happens is that if we have a particular wound, then we're probably going to play it out with our children, and our children will take on that wound as well, and then they'll play it out with their children, and thus the cycle is perpetuated for an eternity. It goes on forever and ever and ever and never ever stops. The reason I wanted to do this video is because I want us to be the ones who stop it first. I want us to be the ones who break this freaking cycle. I want us to be the ones who stop doing this, right? And so I really do recommend that you read the book. I've given a very short synopsis of it, obviously. There's a lot more to it. There's a lot more in it. There's physical characteristics of each wound person that I found really fascinating. So there's a lot more in the book, and I do recommend that you go pick it up and read it, especially right now. You probably have the time to read. So it's called Heal Your Wounds and Find Your True Self by Lise, L-I-S-E, Lise Bourbeau, Bourbeau. And I will put a link down below in the comments or in the description. So hopefully you can use that. And please, read it and then use it and become more conscious of these tendencies that we have. I think it's so important and so powerful, because if you have children, you're not going to transmit it to them automatically, right? And you can kind of perhaps break the cycle, hopefully, or at least try, right? At least try. I hope this makes sense. I hope that I haven't confused you more. If you have any questions, please do comment below and I shall do a follow-up video. If you like this video and you read the book and you have some insight on it, obviously share it with me. I'd love to hear your comments on that. Again, thank you so much for listening, for watching, and I shall see you guys the next time around. Bye for now.